This is Douglas, and welcome to a Thursday edition of Tune Up Tuesday. We're here at St. Matthews Imports, and in celebration of World Environment Day, that was Tuesday. Due to scheduling conflicts, we couldn't be with you on Tuesday, so we moved it here to Thursday. But we're still celebrating the environment this week. We're going to talk about what you can do to your car to make sure that you're impacting the environment in the most minimal way for your car. So one of the best ways to do that is stay on top of general maintenance. That goes as general as oil changes, regular oil changes. Not only keeps your engine running clean and not build up of sludge and carbon, but it also protects your engine for longevity, protecting your financial investment. So that's a real simple thing to do, but let's talk about some more advanced things. Let's talk about keeping the fuel system clean. Let's talk about the emission system, which is just, we'll talk about some of that stuff. So here are some examples of some products that we might use and a tool that we might use to clean the fuel injection. Years ago, we would recommend doing a fuel injection cleaning every 30,000 miles or so. Well, that's because the quality of fuel was so poor then that it would leave debris, residents, and chemicals in the fuel system. Well, today, the fuel quality of fuel itself is better. So I'd say every 60,000 miles or so, do fuel injection services. Again, that's a pretty simple process. We use chemicals, we use a pump, we disconnect the fuel well, we run that chemical through the injection system, and it cleans and purges contaminants out of the fuel system. So that's one thing we do. Second thing, emission system. So the emission system is really a vapor recovery system. It takes the fuel vapors off the fuel itself and contains them and recycles them back into the engine, burning those vapors. And so that has to be a sealed system. That way it contains those vapors, recycles them through the engine. So we do a visual inspection of that. All of these systems, cars are intelligent enough now that they'll set a check engine light. If it sees a problem with any one of these systems, it typically, but not always, but it typically will set a check engine light. So that's why it's important. Check engine light comes on, you need to swing by, we need to look at it, see if it's a minor or major problem. That'll determine how fast we need to get to that. O2 sensors. O2 sensors nowadays on cars last a long time, almost the life of the car. But what those sensors do is read the exhaust gas. It measures the pollutants in the exhaust, and it tells the computer, do we have a high emissions, are we running rich, or whatever. So again, the car is intelligent enough to know, is there a problem with that system? It'll see that. That's actually one of the most common things for a car that has over 100,000 miles or so, and check engine light comes on. It's typically an O2 sensor issue. So those aren't critical, but the longer you let them go, the longer the car's not doing its job as far as keeping the environment as clean as it could. Tire inflation is another very simple thing. You want, a low tire is going to cause it to burn more fuel because of higher rolling resistance. So you want to make sure tire inflations. Most cars nowadays have, that's why they have the inflation meter, the TPMS sensor light on your dash. Looks like a little flat tire thing on there. So all of that is to keep your car running efficient, burning less fuel, and impacting the environment less. And of course, better fuel mileage, better value. So last thing I wanted to show you is probably hard to see because we printed pictures out of this. So this is an example of carbon buildup. You can see right there that those are, looking in the intake, that's a set of valves, and they're all black. Well, that's a heavy buildup of carbon. This happens on direct injection engines. There's several cars that have direct injection engines, and what that means is instead of an injector spraying fuel in the cylinder and it going through the valves, it sprays fuel directly into the cylinder itself, never going over the valves, never washing the backside of the valves. Carbon builds up there. If it's gone unattended, we have several cars, we've got a car here now, we're always putting engines in cars, because that buildup will build up, it'll break off, it'll go through the engine, it'll cause damage. So we're really starting to stress the importance of keeping this carbon buildup. So here's an example of the carbon on the valves. We use this machine here. It's a walnut blaster, and we take the intake off the car, and we put a walnut blaster nozzle with a vacuum to suck it back out, and it essentially sandblasts that cylinder head opening. You can see the shiny valve that's back down to bare metal. Compare them side to side. So that's an up and coming issue on direct injection engines that we're really getting our head around, so that we can inform people of this maintenance need before it causes engine trouble. So something to look out for. Beautiful weather this week. Thank you for joining us on Thursday, and that's another edition of Tune Up Tuesday.